One of the biggest mistakes I made when I started making manga was skipping storyboards. I thought professional manga artists came up with an idea and immediately started drawing. In reality, they spend a huge amount of time planning before they even draw a finished panel. Once I started doing the same, everything changed. That's why in this video, I want to talk about a step that completely changed the way I approach manga: storyboarding. Hi everyone, I'm Lila, also known as Artsy Amani online. I'm currently working on Kickstart, a track and field manga that's been on my heart for years. As I've been building this story, I've realized that poor planning will ruin my manga before it even starts. Learning how to storyboard has completely changed my workflow, and today I want to show you why. So, what exactly is a storyboard? I like to think of it as the blueprint for my story, or like a map that helps me get from the beginning of the story to the end. When I first started making comics, I skipped this step. I'd get excited about an idea and immediately start drawing. The problem was I had no real plan. Looking back at my older comics, I can see that some scenes became confusing because I hadn't thought through the pacing and panel layout beforehand. Now I storyboard first because it lets me see the entire story before I spend hours drawing finished pages. There are a lot of ways artists storyboard. This is just the workflow I've been using while creating Kickstart. First, I open up a blank page. Then I look at the script for that page. I've already written the dialogue and divided the scene into panels. Once I know how many panels I need, I start laying them out. Now this is why storyboards are so important. One thing I learned is that panel layout matters just as much as the drawings themselves. The amount of space I give each moment changes how readers experience the story. Because everything is so rough, I can easily resize panels, move them around, delete them, or add new ones. Once I'm happy with the layout, I begin sketching the characters and backgrounds very loosely. At this stage, I don't worry too much about accuracy. I simply want to know where everything goes. Since the drawings are so rough, they're easy to correct. I've come to realize that an idea that seemed great in my head may not be that good on paper, which is why I experiment with storyboards. One of the biggest lessons storyboarding taught me is that it's much better to discover a bad idea while drawing tiny sketches than after spending hours finishing a page. After repeating this process for every page, I can step back and look at the story as a whole. That's when I notice if there are repetitive panel layouts or scenes that need more impact. This may seem really rough right now, but creating storyboards helped me save so much time when I then created the final version. Learning to storyboard has completely changed the way I make manga. Instead of rushing into finished artwork, I spend much more time planning. I'm still learning with every chapter I create, but every storyboard gets me one step closer to bringing Kickstart to life. If you'd like to follow my journey as I create manga from scratch, I'd love to have you along. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.